and welcome to the most peaceful place, where the fruiting plants and animals roam free. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of them, as they make this piece of haven very enjoyable for all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to Peaceful Village.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael Anfield. Thank you for joining me. I'm from Peaceful Village, raw vegan healing community, and I just want to talk to you today about two things. I'm going to be talking to you about free and open source software, what that is, why Peaceful Village is now embracing more free and open source software and less proprietary software, and what that actually means. But before we get into the topic, I want to say a few updates on what's happening. A few things why we're doing something today, and it's very, very exciting because from this launch of this video, about 30 days or so, we're going to be shutting down our Facebook and Instagram accounts. Now, this video is going to be very lengthy, pretty lengthy, so please bear with me while I do this, okay? Now, again, I just don't want you to be deceived, but I don't know everything. I'm just a beginner when it comes to free and open source software, but I'm just letting people know why we are doing this, what we're doing, or why we're going off of Facebook, Messenger, this kind of stuff, and why we are implementing more free and open source software. Okay. So I just want to tell you that many years ago, I switched, probably it was like 2017, 2018, I switched from traditional email, which I was using at the time. I was using Yahoo, and so I switched over as soon as someone told me about Proton Mail. I switched right over to Proton Mail after some period of time. And Proton Mail is very, very safe. Some people may have different opinions about Proton Mail, but it's encrypted. It's end-to-end encrypted. And so, of course, if someone else is using a different email client that is not encrypted on their side, like a Google or something, Google can still read the information. So that way, Proton Mail is not secure. Yeah, Proton Mail is also not secure because people can have access. If they know how, they can have access to your contacts, and they can have access also to, according to what I heard from someone, you can have access to contacts and also access to the subject line. So you have to be very careful what you put in the subject line. But the actual message itself is encrypted, so people cannot have access to that information. Okay, no matter what you do, it's encrypted. You know, there might be some experts, complete experts, that know how to crack this, but it seemed that it's very hard to crack. Very hard encryption, like Proton Mail, this kind of thing. Even the company does no information or no access to that encrypted message. So anyways, I switched to Proton Mail some years later after using Yahoo for so many years, Yahoo Mail. I did use Google Gmail for a while, but here and there, yeah. But otherwise, I don't use it. I just have it attached basically to my Google account, to my YouTube account, and that's it. Yeah, we got rid of WhatsApp recently because we were not able to use it because we just were not paying and renewing our phone number, so we just got rid of our phone number and things like that. We still have Telegram, this kind of things, but eventually at some point we're going to get rid of that also. So yeah, so Facebook and Instagram we're going to get rid of. It's part of the big conglomerate company called Meta, or Meta, I don't know what they call themselves now, but Meta, something Meta. And yeah, it's free to use, yes, but they take your privacy, they take your information, they sell it, they do all sorts of things with bad intentions. So that's why we wanna get away from using proprietary software, proprietary websites. So proprietary is where the code is not free. Often proprietary software is, I hope I'm saying that word right because I never say it right. Proprietary software, and correct me if I'm not saying certain things correctly, because I'm just learning about this kind of thing. Okay, so so then why watch this video? Why not watch another video that of people that know what they're really talking about? The reason is because I just want to let people know that are following Peaceful Village why we are doing this and what is our intent. So we're getting off of Facebook and all these big things like Messenger and whatever, because we just don't want, we want to be free. Free and open source software means freedom, libertad, you know. So when we switch over to free and open source software, it ultimately means that, and I'm going to tell you exactly what free and open source software means, but it means that we are gaining our privacy. Most, if not all, of the intentions of people and small organizations that create free and open source software, usually it's done by a few people, even just one person creating some type of software. Now also this can be free and open sourced firmware as well, but that's a different story that I don't want to get into. So the thing is that free and open source software is, some people have good intentions and some people don't have good intentions. Like Android, for example, when you have Android, it's a free and open source software. So you can take the code and you can create another software like Samsung did with their operating system that they have that is based on Android. And then there's also the company, I forgot the name, how to pronounce it, but the company that makes Redmi phones, they also have their own operating system that's based on Android. So the problem with these kind of operating systems that are made by big corporations, yes, they're free and open source because you can take the code. Basically, open source means that you can take the code from the software and change it and make your own software. So, for example, Audacity is a very popular software for audio recording. It's a professional audio recording software, but includes a lot of things that people don't need, like a lot of stuff that is just not necessary. And so what some people decided to do is they decided, okay, we're going to make another type of Audacity. We're going to make a fork of it, and we're going to say, okay, no longer are we going to keep this junk, the junk part. We're going to make it more lightweight, and we're going to make it more easy to use. And we're going to just take out all the junk, and we're going to call it tenacity. Instead of audacity, tenacity. Right? So they took the code from Audacity, and then they made it, I don't know, streamlined it or whatever they did. They took some of the code out, they manipulated the code, they did whatever they could with the code. And that is, so the intention of most, if not all, or virtually all of the people or organizations that create free and open source software is that they're doing it for the love of it, because either there's no software like that out there, or that is free and open sourced, or yeah, they just want to do it for the love of it because they want to respect our privacy. And that's what it's all about. It's about freedom. It's about becoming more free. So when we use free and open source software, we're becoming more free. So if something says open source, doesn't mean that it is completely free. Or if something says free, doesn't mean it's completely open sourced. So there are softwares that are freemium. So they have a premium also edition. So they're allowing you to use the software, but not necessarily is it completely free. So that being said, also another thing is that when there's a paid software or even free software that is not open sourced and it's not telling you, hey, we respect your privacy, your freedom, and all this kind of thing, they oftentimes, those companies or those softwares, will include other stuff in that is malware. Yeah. So, for example, Android is free and open source, so you're able to take the code and all this kind of thing. But in the Google Play Store, for example, we don't have. I have an Android app. Oh, sorry, Android operating system right here on this tablet, on this Samsung tablet. But the point is, we are almost completely de-googling the the Android. Now we still have a few things that are still from Google, but most of it we have removed. I have removed from the Android tablet. So for example, Google Play Store, I don't use it. Why? Because Google Play Store, when you download software from an application, what they call application from there, which is a software, they maliciously, without your knowing, they install other things on there, which are malware, other things that you don't consent to downloading. So when you download, I don't know, whatever software from your bank, for example, or whatever software or so whatever application on Google Play Store, it downloads something in the background, something else. So what you can do instead is there's two options. If you want the exact Google Play Store, there's Aurora Store. Aurora Store is exactly the same as Google Play Store. You can completely disable Google Play Store, install Aurora Store, and I think you can install Aurora Store. I don't know if it's just directly through the browser or whatnot, but you can install Aurora Store. It's exactly the same. You just have to change a few settings to make it streamlined and so that it doesn't connect at all to Google Play Store. And I never use like anymore the GPS or anything on the device because it tracks. Everything tracks us. So free and open source is really about not tracking us. No malware. Malware, there's so many different types of malware, but there's malware that gives you advertisements, slows down your phone, takes information from you. There's so many things that malware does, right? At some point, malware makes your device completely non-usable. At some point, sometimes malware is just there to take information from you, and so, yeah, that's invasion of privacy. Even if we have nothing to hide, it's invasion of privacy, right? So with Android, Google Play Store, yeah, it's they download. There's things that download in the background when you download just one app. There's so many things that download in the background, and you don't even know what they download and where they download it to. And sometimes it's hidden files and this kind of thing. So you really don't know. Yeah, so that is why I installed Aurora Store, and I'm learning about this kind of thing. Slowly finding out what's going on. Now, people say, "Oh, I don't really care. I don't really use the internet so much," and this kind of thing. First of all, I use VPN, and VPN that is not in the 14 eyes. What is the 14 eyes? Well, basically, some people say it really doesn't matter. The government tracks you anyways. The government is part of this whole conspiracy. The government runs the whole internet, so it doesn't really matter what you do. But we got to do the best that we can. Now, according to what we people know, and what the free and open source community is called FOSS, FOSS, free and open sourced software. Basically, what they have found is that there's 14 eyes. Now, the original is 5, then there was 9, and now there's 14. So it's basically 14 countries that you should never, ever, ever like connect to or use or have data, your data, in those countries. So there's 14. I will put this information down in the link below. But there's a website, also probably various different websites that can provide you with this information. But I have one website that gives you the information of the 14 eyes. So basically, do not store your data or do not get a VPN, virtual private network, in any of these 14 eyes, in any of these countries, because they have very poor data laws. So they can take your information and they can give it to the government whenever they want. So be careful. When you need to understand, before I just want to say before I talk more about free and open source software. VPN, virtual private network. What does that actually mean? What am I talking about? You know, what is this now? VPNs, not necessarily all of them are going to be free and open source. There's no such thing as free VPN. A very good free VPN. VPNs, generally, good ones especially, are not free. You have to pay for them. And yeah, that's also a risk because you're using your credit card and this kind of thing, and that you can be tracked as well using your credit card. Especially credit cards have people's legal name or birth name. So yeah, it's tricky. But in any case, not all VPNs are also made equally. So I recommend one VPN just because I'm with them, and also because they're always like rated on all the websites. They're rated number 1 or top 3, I should say. They're rated the top 3, and that is NordVPN. And NordVPN is one of the best, and it's open source. So they have their software is open sourced, from what I understand. So then they have software for all operating systems: Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, and so forth. So yeah, you need to remember that VPN. Don't get a VPN that is in the 14 eyes. Okay, check out what 14 eyes means, but basically I will give you a link to the list of the 14 eyes. Okay, and yeah, because at any point they can give your information to government, and then if you're doing something like speaking out against the government, or speaking out against corporations, or speaking out, you're anarchist and speaking out against pharmaceutical industry and this kind of thing, or medical industry, it can be a really big problem, and they can send that information to the government. So be careful. Yeah, you need a VPN. Now I'm going to tell you why. Now the reason is that you need a VPN is really, some people say that doesn't matter because the government owns everything and they can see everything, and they know what you're doing and whatever. So it doesn't really matter if you're protected by VPN or whatever. But many countless people vouch that VPNs actually work. Now it seemed that also it works for me. Now I haven't actually tested all the ins and outs and to see if it actually works. But when you go to websites like what's my IP address and this kind of thing, and you put in your IP address is different than the original IP address of your modem. Okay, so IP address is Internet Protocol. That is kind of like a home address, right? So you have a home address, or you have a telephone number or things like this. So it identifies you the particular thing. So this IP address identifies you to a specific internet and specific location. So when you have a number, it's usually 183 dot dot dot. When you have this kind of unique number, right? It you can go to the internet and you can check that unique number to see where the internet is coming from. So if I have a number like, I don't know, 183 dot blah blah blah, blah whatever it is, then, and I put that number into the internet and I know the website, and then I put the number into the internet, where is my IP address, or what is my IP address, or IP address lookup or something like that, you can find the information about where the person is located. Okay? So where the person is located. But not always is the actual person going to be located there. Because when you have a VPN, for example, the VPN is going to change that IP address. So usually what a VPN does is there's different types of VPNs or different types of connections. So for example, there's a double VPN, and that is more secure, but it's slower. NordVPN is like one of the fastest VPN services out there. It's truly, like, from the tests and everything that people have done and companies have done, it's like the fastest thing out there, right? I'm not bragging. I mean, go with whatever VPN that's not in the 14 eyes and you're going to be good. But there's usually 5 to choose from. Proton VPN, ExpressVPN, there's also Ghost, NordVPN, and there's a few others, But usually there's like top 5 to choose from. But NordVPN is always one of the top, and it seems that it's the fastest also, because it does slow down when you have to go from one server to another server. It slows down, right? Your internet connection. So it's going to be a little bit slower. Sometimes it's a lot slower depending on the company. So you need to realize that. Now, VPNs. So what they do is they basically take your original IP address. So for example, if you have an IP address of 1.8, let's just say 183 dot whatever. I don't know why I'm using 183, but 183 dot blah 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 blah. If you have that kind of IP address, and you're doing something like sharing information that is very harmful to, like, governments or to big corporations or to pharmaceutical industries, and you're sharing this on social media and stuff like this, and you're using your IP address of your internet company, the service provider, internet service provider, ISP, that can be tricky, because then the police can come and they can say, hey, give you a warning, a very, very harsh warning, or even put you in jail, or give you a fine or whatever. So nowadays it's very, very, especially in certain countries, you cannot say certain things. So you need to be very, 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 very careful. But when you have a VPN, especially a very good one that's not in the 14 eyes, that IP address, the original IP address, changes to another IP address in a different country. Now there's 2 different types of servers that NordVPN and I think others have, and that is their own servers, but they're also virtual servers. Now I don't know exactly the details and the specifics on these things, but all I know is that the virtual servers, they rent the servers, and then their actual servers is the ones that they actually own. They don't rent, but they own the actual server. So they actually have their own server. And these companies have thousands upon thousands of different servers in like dozens or even hundreds of countries. I think NordVPN has, I don't know, 5,000 something servers, and they have I don't know, in at least 150 countries or something like that. So it's it covers almost everything. But they have a lot of virtual servers, rented servers, and I never use those kind of servers, right? So I choose the closest location that is a NordVPN server, and I go with that. Now you can also go with double VPN, which means that it goes from one other IP address to another IP address. So it connects to one country and then another country it connects to, or two different IP addresses, so that it's harder for them to track, for people to track. So it's more safe. It's a double safety feature. Even though VPN still is very, very safe, and it's almost impossible to crack or to know where the person is actually the original thing. I don't know why people would want to use double VPN, but I used double VPN with NordVPN, and the speed was still very good. Was very good. I mean, very, very, very good. Um, yeah, so that's why you use a VPN. So you mask your original IP address so people don't know where you're located, what you're doing. Please use a VPN, people, and a good VPN. Okay, not from the 14 eyes. Now, that being said, let's go back to free and open source software and what we're doing here. So I recently switched over to a Linux, kind of GNU Linux operating system. I don't know too much about the whole thing, but I'll tell you what I know and why we started switching over to a free operating system, free and open sourced. Of course, you have operating systems for things like routers and stuff like that. Routers do have operating systems on them. Surprise, surprise, I didn't know that until recently. So why do I use Linux operating systems? Now there's many different types because Linux is open sourced, free and open sourced. So what does that mean again? It means that people are able to use it. It's completely free. Some of them will include malware. So there are different distros, what they call distros or distributions of Linux. So there's a lot of them. There's, I don't know, a dozen or more based on Linux. So for example, there's a distro that's very popular called Debian, and Debian is a distro or fork, you can say, that is completely free and open sourced. Some softwares like Ubuntu, for example, which are is a very popular distro of Linux, doesn't have completely free, or I should say open sourced software on there. So for example, in the repository is where you download all the applications or software for the operating system Linux. So Ubuntu, for example, includes things that are not completely non-proprietary, so not open sourced. Again, this open sourced is that you're able to take the code, people are able to take the code themselves from that software and use it, and create their own software if they really want to, or just look at the software and see what's there. They can see how the software is made. It's like a car, for example. You get the schematics, for example, of a car, how they actually made it, what the ingredients were or the materials were that they used, and this kind of thing. And they give you the whole breakdown of how the car is put together, all the information about that, all the ingredients, all the things. It's like someone that makes a cake, and they sell it in a supermarket, and the cake has ingredient list, of course, right? But it doesn't tell you exactly how it was made, how much of this or how much of that is put into the cake. But because that is kind of like a proprietary cake, they want to sell it. So they want to make money off that. But for someone who is like makes a cake and they give it to people for free, like as in a potluck or something, of course vegan, um, they they say, hey, sure, I'm able to give you the recipe. Here's the recipe, and they give exact recipe. And so that recipe is the open source code, basically, for software. Okay, so now you understand. Why are we doing this? Well, because we respect our privacy. And we want to teach people this because we want people to stop using these big corporations that make a lot of money. And in the beginning, I was so much into using products from big companies like Adobe and things like that. And I know sometimes there's nothing exactly the same as the proprietary software, but it's more freedom. There's less or zero, if zero, malware. Most of these free and open source projects have zero, most or virtually all of those have zero malware. So you download it and that's it, you just download it. But some companies are now coming up with free and open source software just because they want to have it available for Linux and other free and open source operating systems. So that is the thing. They just want to get on the free and open source bandwagon so that they have their software available for Linux. Now, some software companies decide, hey, I'm just going to make it for Windows and that's it. Or I'm just going to make it for Mac and that's it. Or I'm just going to make it for Linux and that's it because I don't want to support Windows and Mac operating systems. I want to support completely free and open source software. So some software companies don't make their software available for Windows or Mac or any of these other non-free operating systems. Now, so free and open source. Just to reiterate what I was saying. Free and open source software. Why we are implementing this in our lives? Because we want to be more free. We don't want malware. We want to support small little guys instead of the big corporations. And of course, we don't want to pay because truly, and I'm telling you this right here in front of the camera, when you pay for something, when you put a service to something, and of course, we're still charging for things here in Peaceful Village. We're not completely self-sustainable yet with our food and with our supplies and this kind of thing. But the more people charge for things, the more people are going to charge you for things. That's just how it is. When we give freely out of the act of giving of our time, our energy of service to people, to nature, to other animals. So when we are of service, we give freely. When we are of service to others freely, then we receive that back to us. But it's not just that. We feel good doing things for other people without expecting anything in return. And so that is the key when it comes to free and open source things. When people, for example, offer full documentaries or full movies on YouTube or on other platforms, they're doing it because of the love of it, because they took their time, however many months or years, to create the movie for you, for people to see. Because they want people to know really what's going on in the world. What they really want people to have free entertainment or to have a free documentary to know really what's going on in the world and to share something that's deeply important for them or to them. So it's basically giving from the heart freely, right? Of course, because we are not completely self-sustainable, many of us still, as anarchists, we're not completely self-sustainable, so we still use money here and there. But we do our best to minimize the money that we're using. So to go to towns and cities much less, to buy our groceries much less. And also when we are doing this, not to use digital currency as much as possible, but to use cash so that it's less tracked. Remember, use cash, people, as much as possible. Don't use debit cards, credit cards, as much as possible. Okay, as much as possible, stay with cash. Okay, so cryptocurrency, even that, it's digital currencies are tracked. Probably cryptocurrencies too. It's a little better, but it's still part of the system. Still part of the system, and we're going. Our community, Peaceful Village Raw Vegan Healing Community, we're going moneyless slowly, slowly. Thank you to the moneyless man for for inspiring us, for motivating us, for encouraging us to take that step. Aurora read the book. I haven't read it yet, but yeah, the moneyless man or the moneyless manifesto, something like that. So that's what we're doing. And slowly, slowly, we're getting out of this whole thing. You know, even our website, we're paying for it. Now we reduced our expenses with our website. At some point, we're going to get rid of it completely. We're going to just use a free hosting. And there are several free, completely free and open source web hosting companies that are out there. Very, very small, like Codeberg, for example. So Codeberg is a very, very, very popular one. It's still niche, so that's the downsides. And I want to talk about the downsides of free and open source things. And it's not just pertaining to software, it's pertaining to websites, to web hosting, to firmware, to all sorts of different things. You know, you can even have proprietary software in a car nowadays because cars have computers in them, computer components and things like this. So we need to be very careful what we're doing, what we're supporting, who we're supporting, this kind of things. And so, yeah, it's just a lot to wrap your head around. That's the thing. It's a lot of information. And still, for me, it's like so complicated, you know. And for example, Linux is very, Linux distros like Debian operating system. I'm using a fork of Debian called Devuan, but it's a very, very, very small niche. There's not many people that use it. If you need help, there's like very little help, and that's the problem with Linux. One of the problems. The downsides with Linux is that there's usually much less support because there's much less people that are giving support kindly from their heart. They're doing this for free. So if you have the opportunity to like donate to them something, whatever it is, if it's equipment or if it's money or whatever it is, do so if you have the opportunity to do that. If you have a lot of money, please support these free and open source projects. Please, please, please. And yeah, I just say like that's one of the downsides is that they are very small. There's not a lot of software available compared to like Windows or Macintosh. Um, and yeah, sometimes the updates take a long time. So sometimes there's even years when there's no updates for a particular software. So sometimes they don't update at all. Sometimes they just abandon the project altogether, and the project is completely abandoned. And when you don't, when a company or person doesn't, a human doesn't update their software, there can be vulnerabilities in the software. So yeah, some people claim that the software doesn't have, their software absolutely doesn't have any more flaws, and it's completely like stable version, and they never need to like update it ever again. And it could be in some way could be true, but really there's always going to be flaws in errors or something in that particular software, and then they're going to need to like update it, you know, just basic thing, or even just update like added translations or added new interfaces or new themes for that dark theme or light theme or different types of themes. So so that's a downside when using Linux operating systems. Is really like there's not much support, especially for Debian operating systems and Debian. There's more support for Ubuntu and for other types of distros. But for Debian, there's much more than Devuan. Devuan doesn't really have a good support team. It's just run by a few selected people. I don't know who, but it's run by a few selected people. And then inside the operating system, like Debian, for example, there's different themes and different things, and the customization basically is like unlimited, almost unlimited. It's not like Windows or Mac that you cannot really customize it as well, but Linux operating systems, you can customize it very, very well. But because people, if you're so like used to using Windows and Macintosh operating systems, switching to Linux basically is only for desktops. So for laptops, for desktops, this kind of thing, for computers, for tablets, other computers like tablets and cell phones. You can definitely add a Linux-based. You can use Ubuntu Touch, for example, and learn how to install Ubuntu Touch instead of using Android and this kind of thing. There's downsides, of course, to using Linux. You need to know a lot of different things when you wanna like customize the operating system. It's not easy, and I'm still learning a lot after about a year using Linux. It's pretty complicated. I have a friend and helping me with certain things on the computer, so I'm very, very grateful to to my friend. Thank you so much. You know who you are if you're watching this video. Um, so yeah, we're really appreciative to people that help and support other people that need the help and support in this kind of operating systems that are very, very like have very limited support. Yeah. So that being said, that's the downsides. Really, it's like there's a lot to learn in these new operating systems. If you just want to like connect to the internet and you just want to use basic programs like Office Libre and this kind of thing, then yeah, it's possible. But then if something were to happen, it's difficult for someone to be able to repair or to fix the problem that they have, because there's not much support out there, and it's hard to find specific questions pertaining to this kind of problems that people have. I mean, I had many, many, many problems with the audio and the sound and everything. And so just to conclude this, because it's going on for a long time, is that we are using free and open source software and free and open source platforms, I should say, because it's also platforms like Facebook, Messenger, this kind of thing. We're switching, or we have switched over. So we're going to be now signing up, or we have already signed up to different social media sites that are completely free and open sourced. And so sign on to them. We have signed on to Mastodon. We have signed on to Diaspora and others that we're going to be signing on as well. There's going to be one other one, I think, Friendica, that we're going to be signing on to as well. So you can check us out on Friendica. You can check us out on Diaspora. Out on our page, we have the icons there, and you can check them out. We're still on YouTube, so this is uploading to YouTube. We're on BitChute as well, but BitChute doesn't have the features like automatic English captions and things like that. So yeah, but there's another platform, PeerTube, that we're still looking into. So yeah, that is something. So yeah, we are transitioning and getting out of this, big companies, and using money less and less and less and less. And if we use money, it's mostly cash as much as possible. We have just our website, a VPN, and our email that we're paying for. And if anybody knows where truly where to get very good free open sourced web hosting, web designing, web hosting, this kind of thing, where we can get even free open sourced, completely free, completely open sourced email that we can connect to our domain name. So we have contact at peacefulvillage.org, and so that we would like to connect to our email. So we would like that to continue. So if we're able, we have already, Proton Mail, but if there's something that we don't have to pay for, it's completely free. Proton Mail is free. They have a free option, but if you want to connect domain names and we want more options, you need to pay for those options. If you want more space, you need to pay for that. If anybody knows any other better or free encrypted, end-to-end encrypted email, let us know. Free and open sourced platforms or software, really they need your help. So if you absolutely have the opportunity, donate to them whatever you can. If it's material objects or if it's or physical money or something, donate as much as you can to them. Now, of course, that donation is going to be digital, most likely, but that is probably one of the things that we cannot avoid if we want to donate to someone on the other side of the world. Yeah, we just don't want to go with the big guys. We don't want our privacy invaded. We want our freedom. We want our freedom. So free virtually most of the time, the software that is free and open sourced, they are truly giving from heart. And that is what we need to do, people. We need to give from heart. And so what we decided to do here in Peaceful Village and what we're doing as we transition to the moneyless system, which I don't know if we're going to completely get rid of in our lifetime, unless they say at some point, oh, you need a chip inside you or COVID vaccination in order to use money. We're not going to stop using money at this point, but we're reducing as much as possible. But at the time or at the point that the corporations and the government say, hey, you cannot use money anymore because of this or this or this or this, and it invades our freedom, our privacy and freedom, we're going to say no more. We got our land. We have our food growing. We're going to have more and more food growing. Continue planting and doing what we can to become more self-sustainable, using less and less and less and less and less and less money. But in any case, if we absolutely cannot use money at all, then we're going to have to figure a way how we can still continue to share the message through the internet somehow and do what we can. So that's the whole understanding, is trying to connect with people and with corporations to share as much as possible freely from the heart. So that is the key: sharing, giving of service freely without expecting anything in return. If we get something in return, that's great, but without expecting anything in return. Check us out, Element, Matrix Element, email, use PGP. Please, people, use PGP. Get rid of Gmail and get rid of Yahoo and get rid of Hotmail and Outlook and whatever else you have, and go with free and open source platforms as much as possible, or encrypted ones like Proton Mail and things like that. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me here. And I think that's all I want to say. So take care, everybody. I'm Michael Landfill from Peaceful Village, Raw Vegan Healing Community. Don't forget to check out our website, peacefulvillage.org.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to Peaceful Village.